Welcome one, welcome all to Coach Paul knows New York City football. Yes, we're here in the hood in New York City where Coach Paul is raised and reared. And what's more New York City than getting your wig split? Yeah, it's looking pretty terrible right now, looking a little ragged. You know, that old lion, rah, rah, rah. But I'm here at the shop. This here is a football player who owns his own shop, Mr. Davon Green, aka Steel Cutters himself. And I'm going in here to go get me a fresh one today, New York City style. Come with the coach as I'm here in the shop at Steel Cutters Luxury Boutique, where they adhere to all the COVID protocols and make sure your wig is split right and you come out of here looking great because the artist himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Davon Green, Mr. Steel Cutter. Yo, good to see you, bro. Good to see you. Good to see you. How's everything been?
Good, man. You?
All right, all right. Well, you see, looking a little raggedy, but I need your help getting back to looking human again. It's so good to see you, Davon. Here in Queens, New York, Steel Cutters. I see you doing your thing. Got all the baseball legends and stuff up there. The open barbershop sign. Looking good, looking good. Very proud of you, very proud of you.
Thank you.
This is good stuff. So, Davon, let me ask you this. We live in the concrete jungle in New York City. There's so many stories. So many stories. And you are definitely one of those stories. You've been here in New York City. You've played football from you were a youth. And you've experienced some of the trials, tribulations of New York City. Hard knock life.
Fact.
And anybody that is a tried and true New Yorker will tell you, no matter what their occupation is, that it's a hard knock life. It's part of being in New York. That's why they say, if you can make it here,
You make it anywhere.
you can make it anywhere. That's right, bro. So, having gone through a lot of the stuff that you've gone through in life, how did you end up here?
Well, to be honest, wasn't going to be a barber at first.
Okay.
I went to Apex and failed out or didn't pass the placement test, and I ended up doing the barbering, and I loved it. I went to Atlas Barber School downtown Manhattan over there on Astro Place,
Okay.
and when I learned it, I started cutting. I ain't never turned back since. Because I always was an artist. When I was in school, I used to try to do the architecture work. So I could draw floor plans and stuff. It's the same thing as designing.
Oh, nice. So you incorporated some of your academic skills with your artistic skills.
Right.
Sweet, sweet.
Right. And I use the same thing for the coaching and stuff that you gave me on the football field in my daily life.
Some of those experiences you learned on the gridiron, times when during games, practice, during football, how do you apply some of those lessons to what you're doing today? What did you learn in football that made you the man you are today?
Well, I'm going to be 100% honest. When you was my coach, right?
Yeah.
And I used to do what I want to do, and I didn't have any real structure. So football gave me a lot of structure as a kid. And in my neighborhood, they stopped with the basketball programs and open schools at night. Only when I did that was 156. So what happened for me was, remember that time I came to practice and I was mad at practice? I just left and started smoking a cigarette at practice.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
I'm like, you're a minor. Why are you smoking cigarettes?
Right. But those days, when you coaches actually came and you spoke to me, you dealt with me, I was in your defense, and you took me under your wing, personally. And I can give you a few examples. One, you didn't just coach me in football. You coached me in life, because I was making a lot of mistakes. Remember that time I told you about when I stole your car?
You brought that up
Yeah.
and you stole my car.
Yeah.
Why would you bring that? Well, okay.
Yeah, no,
It's a
because
true story.
True story. Because we was
true
in front
story.
of Mike Blanchard's house,
Uh-huh.
and we just finished football practice, and all of the kids in the car, we was all in the car, we was all done, and they was like, "Yo, drive the car."
And wait. Not to mention, it really was a fat Lincoln.
No,
But anyway.
it was a Lincoln big body. It was the cream joint with the brown interior.
Yeah.
Right. So, what I did was I made the mistake. I drove, but I didn't leave the block. I only drove about
With no license.
no nothing. I was in Pop Warner football.
I was like, yo, where's my car? They was like, yo, Coach Paul, they've crashed your car.
Right, because I was trying to back up, right, because I was nervous. And everybody had their shoulder pads on, covering the back window. So that's how I scraped the whole side of your car. But then even in that, you taught me a lesson. So I brought that up for this reason. You taught me that everybody has to answer for what they do in life, right?
Right.
But you wasn't harsh with it. You came and spoke to my single parent mom, right? You didn't make her life super hard. Then you told me that I had to come and work on the weekends with you at your fish spot that you owned out in Brooklyn,
Right.
in front of the projects.
At my restaurant.
At your restaurant.
Filet and soul.
Right. So I was there, and I still was messing up while I was taking the orders,
Right.
right? And you showed me, one, hard work, because I was working. I'd never worked before that, right? So ever since then, I've always held a job. If I didn't hold a job, I started my own business, my own company.
Okay.
Before that, I was just running the streets with the rest of my friends, right? So now, you
That
got
was the idea of football, was to keep you out the streets.
Right. So now, you have to understand this now. With that, you taught me that. And then after the whole day was done, because in my mind, I was working for free because I owed you. And my mom told me, you better go and do what you gotta do to go work. And I was supposed to do a couple of weekends or really the whole summer. You paid me still in full after that.
Fair
You
is
paid
fair.
me
Is
to work.
fair. Always pay a man for his labor.
So you paid me. So, but that taught me that yes, you held accountable for your actions, but at the same time, now I have to pay it forward. That's why through COVID-19, if you ever ask anybody, I never really went up on my prices. I still got pre-COVID-19 prices. You have barbers that charge $40, $50, $60.
Yeah, that's true.
That used to be $10 barbers. They don't really know how to cut no hair real good. But because of COVID-19, they could capitalize and overcharging.
Yeah.
I don't do that because I feel like even if you are
Gougers.
black, white, Spanish, and you come from a, let's say, 2-family income, COVID-19 hit. Just because the dad might be working or the mom might be working, don't mean that one of those people are not working anymore, that they still have money. Because the household composition has changed.
Yes, absolutely.
So I have to try to accommodate that so they can still look good and still do things for business. And then you got people who doing remote, so they don't really need cuts instead of thirds. So I just try to keep my thing where I can pay it forward. And you taught me that, even though that little lesson and the foolishness that I did, it built structure in it because guess what? It could have been a lot worse, Paul. It could have been to the point where I did that, you acted harshly, right? I didn't learn the lesson. I got vindictive afterwards. Then I would have been doing that as a career. But I wasn't a career criminal. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
I learned a lot of lessons. And I learned how to manage a business. I learned because I was sat there and I watched you while you was doing it and while you was talking to the people and how you dealt with business. So I also learned.
Okay.
That's why I always see you as a mentor. Have always seen you as a mentor on the football field and off the football field.
See, I never really thought of that aspect. I thought, just what I do on the football field, kind of like got through to you guys. But it's nice to know that at the time I had a restaurant. At the time I had my security company and my entertainment company.
Yep.
And I just knew how to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know anything else. Being in New York City, the concrete jungle that we all live in, when you live in the burbs, getting back and forth to football practice, it's like usually like mom or dad will take you, or a lot of times it's within walking distance, bicycle traveling, your scooter, however you can get there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's when you live in the burbs. But when you live out here in the city, a lot of hoods, transportation is either bus, train, those other methods, like I said, scooter or bicycle. But a lot of times, too, it's foot. And getting back and forth to practice, sometimes alone, is, a feat in itself.
I think getting back and forth to school can be very dangerous. And a lot of people in New York, like me, had a lot of talent. But our environment, and it's not no excuses, but I'm just saying the temptation is strong on the way going to school and on the way going back. We don't have that intermediary where we can say, Mom and Dad is driving me to school, so on my way walking to school, I encounter everything under the sun.
Here in New York City, you hear the train going above, right?
Yep.
That's what you gotta love about the city, is transportation. Anyway, each way and every way. That's one of the good things about New York City. You can always get around. Whether it's bus, train, Uber, freaking walking, bicycle, city bike, whatever the city has to offer, your own scooter, it's here. But you still got to navigate the concrete jungle. All the ills and pitfalls that are New York City. The things that happen in the concrete jungle. You got to avoid the muggers, the gangs, the good guys, the bad guys, the every kind of guys. That's just New York City. That's where we live. That's what we do, and that's why we love it. Because as many bad things go on here, as many good things go on here.
Right.
But you just got to be savvy, keep your head on the swivel, just like on the football field. Always have your head on the swivel and be aware of your surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of your trials and tribulations in traveling, whether it's on the football field or school or in New York City, period?
Well, really dealing with peer pressure, different gangs, different associations, different gangs, different associations, trying to just stay afloat. And then you got some people that try too hard to be in the in crowd and lose themselves in what their really purpose is. Right. So you have a lot of, I know a lot of great football players and basketball players that are locked up or because of the path that they chose was wrong. Yeah. And Absolutely. it wasn't really, I would say, fully their choice, but it was their choice because you still made it. But a lot of people's families was deep into, my era was the drug era. Right. So it was more like you did what your uncles told you to do.
It was the illegal drug era that is now legal.
Right. So
irony, life's irony.
Because I remember me being young, I was out there for a different family or whatever the case may be. Right. And it's easier to sell. And a lot of times when you're younger, it's easy to pick on you because the adults will tell you, you won't get that much time. You won't get that much in trouble. You're under this age. You fall under this stipulation. Because the people who know better, that put you out there, they know what the charge hold and know what you can stand up for, what they're not going to stand up for. Right. Just like they'll tell you. You know what I mean? You got to be careful of your surroundings. If you want to be a football player and you want to do what you need to do, watch your friends. You can get trapped off just as simple as driving in the car with somebody in New York City. Right. He got a gun. You don't know nothing about the gun. It's under the seat. Right. When you get locked up, that's everybody's gun. You might think it goes to the driver, but it doesn't. You know how I know? I know because I went up north because of that. It is not the driver's gun. It's everybody's gun. And the felonies go down to the point where it tell you, even down to a D felony for weapons possession, it says just knowing that it was in the car, you get a felony just for knowing it's there. So if you want to be a football player, an elite football player, or any kind of sports person, period, and you really want to do something with your life, watch your people, places, and things.
That's right. Because
it's very, very important. And I'm only saying that because I made a lot of bad decisions based off the people I was around and my associations. So I couldn't do what I really wanted to do in life, which was architect, which was a whole bunch of different things. So being that I was a felon, I had to fall back into something else. And barbering at that time, when I was younger, about, it was 17 years ago when I graduated school. When I graduated school 17 years ago, I did it because it was almost like drug money. Because it was fast and it was money in your hands. Right. It wasn't I have to sit at somebody's desk or a job to accumulate this money and get paid bi-weekly. I got paid the same day I worked. Now it's different because over the years, it's a love for it. I do it for an art form. I don't do it just for the money. I do it for the art. Right. So, but a lot of people and a lot of kids need to know, for real, if you really and truly want to be a sports entertainer, and you really, really love what you do, the number one thing that you need to do is watch the people you are around. And I don't care how good you are. I don't care if you're the safest kid in the world. Because all I got to do, if I don't want you to succeed, is drop my pack next to you.
Life lessons, bro.
Drop it right on the floor. It's everybody.
Life lessons.
It's everybody.
That's real life. And listen, the Bible says, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. That's right. That's prophecy.
Yep.
Show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. So be careful of the company that you keep.
Find you some mentors. Find you some coaches. And the only thing that's good that happened to me was I found you as a coach, right? Because I was already going where I was going because my mom was a single mom and she worked 2 to 3 different jobs.
God bless her.
Right. So, but she was never home. So when she put me on punishment, I would laugh because.
And you're a lot bigger than her, so
but
not
you're
like
not
she
going to
could
be
even
home.
hit you.
But my thing is this:
you wouldn't feel it.
But you're not going to be home.
Right.
So your punishment's not going to hold up. You leaving me with my great grandmother who can't come downstairs.
Right.
So I'm going to go outside, do what I got to do. You're going to get home by 9 and you back out by 11. I'm going to get home and then I'm going to get downstairs like I always did because I was great in math. So what I did was I do my little homework and then I save the math for last because I know I do it fast like that.
Right.
I go outside, I play. I hang out all day, hop out the window, I play. I come back inside, you get home at 9, 8:30, I'm at the table acting like I'm having a hard time with the math problems. And then she say, hurry up, boy, and go to bed. I finish the math because I already know it. And then I take my ass to sleep. So there was no punishment because sometimes our parents work so much, they don't have that elite time to focus directly on you.
Right, she couldn't. She was a single parent.
Right.
Busting up behind. She had you little rusty butt boys, you, Quavon. You guys were a handful.
So we was outside.
You're right, and she was doing the damn thing though.
Right.
Mom was holding it down.
Listen, I know a lot of people like that. I know a great person who could have been a great quarterback. Great quarterback. Got caught up. You ever notice? You ever met Chauncey? Chauncey. He's from Lawrence.
He played for the Jets?
He played for the Rosedale Jets. He was a great quarterback.
No, I didn't know Chauncey.
Man, he been locked up since Pop won the football days.
Wow. Sorry to hear that.
And you know how I know?
Wasted life.
You know how I know? Because when I was on that bus ride, I saw him in transit. He'd been there since then. He came back down to go to court, to go right back up.
Wow.
For something that was happening on the inside.
Wow.
But he was a great kid, came from a great background, but the only problem was his uncles was on that stuff heavy. So he got to protect mama, he got to protect his sister, and got to protect grandma. Keep your friends close, the ones that can help you succeed. Right. Get mentors, stay with those coaches, stay with those people. Forget all that crap about being a lame and this, that, and the third, because guess what? What I learned is, a lot of the kids that I called lame in school is some of the kids I saw when I had to go ask for a job.
Right.
So you could be the class clown, but you're going to be the broke class clown. It's the ones who get to it. Right. Because now I'm a grown man getting to it. But if I was younger, when I would have got to it, I'd be resting right now.
Right. Absolutely.
But now I'm hustling.
Absolutely.
In a legal manner, I'm hustling. But if I would have paid attention when it was time for me to pay attention, I'd be resting and vacationing.
Amen. Life lessons.
Speaking of devil. What's up, man?
D-Daddy, D-Daddy.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah, so this is
Skyhawk for life, bro.
Yeah. Oh, you know.
Skyhawk for life.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Skyhawk for life.
All right, man. Listen, hold that right there. Hold that
concrete
right there.
football jungle.
Yes, you got me ready? Okay,
That's
okay.
Right.
Listen, let's just make it happen. Let's take the pain away fast. Let's just let it go. So what's happening, man?
You tell me, bro. Listen, I know. Back in the day, not that long ago, because you ain't as ancient as the old man. but you've had your experiences with football.
Oh yeah.
And so tell us, Dwayne, what's your background as far as you starting out as a player?
As a player, listen, my first play, being from the city, everybody understands that playing in the street football. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, on the block, you know, your neighbors get mad because that football hitting the cars and the alarm going off. You know, you playing that football on the concrete. We play real football. And we love snow days.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Snow days, we padded up and play that real tackle in the park, you know? So, then when I took it to, you know, playing actual, you know, organized football, Pop Warner,
Right.
you know, Brooklyn Skyhawk.
Oh, you're the Skyhawk?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Skyhawks for life.
Hold on. You was blue or you was orange?
Oh, that's orange.
Okay.
We was orange.
All right, because the blue,
Yeah.
I ain't like
Yeah.
either one of y'all, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
we was orange, you know.
Orange and blue, bro.
With the blue trim, you know.
Blue trim.
It kind of had that Florida kind of feel.
Yeah,
to
but it was
you know?
always cool with y'all, man.
Yeah, it was, you know, so, you know, I was a wide receiver. I started off as a quarterback, but, you know, another player who had better skill sets, you know, took over, which was, you know, I understood it. You know, sometimes you just give it up. And I think my number was 85.
So what position did you end up playing?
I was a wide receiver. Yep. And I played wide and tight.
That's what she said.
Yep. Yep. I'm the Coach Bear. So
Okay.
anybody who played in that time, you know, they remember.
You remember Mr. Harris?
Yes.
That's Skyhawk royalty for life.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Mr.
Listen.
Harris was the man, bro.
Listen, city football, it's just a whole different experience.
Right.
It's just not like, you know, the luxury of that suburban, you know, having your own field. Our practice field was at it was at Prospect Playgrounds, I do believe. That's
Prospect Park, the parade grounds.
The parade grounds.
Exactly. That's where we played.
Yeah, you know, and you know, we dressed up in like the bathroom area, little locker room bathroom area.
Rocks and dirt.
Yeah.
No.
There was no field. We played on rocks and dirt and marked the dirt with paint.
Y'all had two dirt fields. Y'all had a field for the, because if y'all had two games going on, because I remember the Rosedale Jets to play against y'all, we had one team playing with y'all on the other dirt field, and then the other field had like 4 ball head parts of grass.
Oh yeah.
And then we love to play on that one because at least if you fall on that part, you won't break everything and scathe
That's
everything.
New York City football, bro.
That's what it is. Listen.
New York City football. We played on dirt, rocks, concrete. Wherever we could play, we played.
Listen, if you're not used to that, to having that turf, that grass, and you wanted to play the game, you got comfortable with what was, you know, presented to you. So if it was the concrete of the streets, in between cars, if it was a dirt field with rocks, it just became what it was. The elements being in the cold, you know, lugging your pads, you know, from the train. We didn't have buses. You know, getting on that train, you know, Franklin Avenue shuttle, you know, taking it over to the D train at the time, you know, and I got off at church, walked it down. You know, it was part of what you did, you know. It was just part of what you did. You might not have a new set of cleats. You had a hand-me-down from somebody who played, you know, in a division before you or behind you or the same division, you know. Oh yeah. So what's it looking like? I mean, is it looking different? You know, did you find anything underneath that rug? You know, I'm missing a couple remotes, keys. Oh man.
Already looking good. Already looking good.
Listen.
You look like a totally different person.
I'm feeling like I want to go put my Timbs on. I'm old school. Put my Timbs on.
Don't do that.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't want her looking for me.
Dust off the triple fat goose. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. You know, lean that winter hat to the side and just post up at the corner store.
Triple fat goose is a joint.
Oh, listen. This one you gotta trust the barber, right? We got to hit that blade, man.
Yeah. If you ain't friends, you're gonna wish you were.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Oh, man.
So check this out. Coach Paul knows New York City football is always on a crusade for the underdog. Always on a crusade to represent the guy out in the streets, grassroots entertainment with a purpose, bro. That's what we do. And we all about getting these kids in New York City and all over the nation to represent the great United States of America. Why isn't the game of American football, our national pastime, what we love. Those NFL playoffs were crazy. But how come football is not a part of the Olympics? Baseball, track and field, tennis, tiddlywinks, grasshopper killing, they're all parts of the Olympics. But football isn't? Are you serious? What's your thoughts on that, bro?
Well, it would great. It would be great to see that, in the Olympics, of course, because our NFL players are the top tier, elite athletes for football, but it's political, how I feel, because you would have to have other teams or other leagues in other countries to compete as a country against each other. And the only teams and leagues that there are is Canada. So you would, in a sense, have just Canada and America competing. So you would have to move the game of football into other countries. But of course, when they talk about our sport, they make jokes at it because they say that's not real football. They call it, football. To them, it's soccer. So they have to get past that, and almost you have to make a campaign move, how they did basketball, the NBA, where they were able to move the NBA and have it in other countries, and then had a lot of elite players that are playing now in the NBA who come from different continents. They come from Germany, they come from Africa, different parts of Africa. They come from different parts of the Ukraine, Russia, China, and some of them have all been star athletes. So it's a political thing. You have to move the sport and kind of take it in some form, have some of the older players take the sport to other countries who are interested. Because I'm quite sure there's people out there who are playing the sport. You can't tell me that right now there's not kids watching this with the technology today with YouTube and other different platforms that they haven't seen the sport and they want to play the sport.
All over the world.
But it's just not there. So I think you have to start first by getting the sport and some kind of being an ambassadors out there to take the sport, to teach the kids the rules, the different positions, how the game actually, the time of the game, the different quarters, the coaching aspect. That's what you have to do first. You have to take the sport and teach the people the sport. And then I guess at some point they will catch on. So right now it's political and you have to have ambassadors.
I think that they already got ambassadors. You know the ambassadors are? YouTube. I think the internet has made the world a much smaller place. Mm-hmm. And I think that football is in demand all over the world. There are European leagues, Canadian leagues. Austria has teams. So many, Italy, so many countries. Iceland has a team.
Right.
Okay? Football is played all over the planet. It just needs to be galvanized. I think the NFL should take the lead on doing that and to make football a universal sport and an Olympic sport. All you got to do is send some of these American coaches all around the planet, set up a fund to have these coaches go out, put them up in a nice little place to live, give them a salary, and have them teach the game of football and have the other countries compete. I, for one, know you put me in a country, put me in Africa, put me in Italy, put me in Europe, and give me a national team, I'll come back here and I'll whoop some behind.
Right.
That's all I know. Because you're giving me a whole entire country to choose from with athletes. I'm going to make some athletes out of those boys and teach them the game of football. And we're going to come back home and we're going to put it on some kids. That's all I know.
Right.
So I think that football can be expanded worldwide. Is it a cheap sport? No. But then again, what is? Right. Nothing's a cheap sport.
But as you and I both know from traveling, because we've traveled and, other forms of, business that we have done and entertainment, when you go to a lot of these countries, it's real political. You have to be in with the politicians, because as you say, the money, who are going to allow for this to happen, to fund it.
Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's.
To give up the permissions and the permits to, utilize a place to play the sports, to practice, to find the athletes, to house the athletes, because it's different. As easy as we say we want to see it happen, it's going to be a winter sport, of course, so we'll have to be in the Winter Olympics. And a lot of places just don't have that kind of climate. So them being exposed to playing in a Winter Olympics and most like say they go to play in Canada for the Winter Games.
Yeah.
And they come from somewhere in Africa, and they're like, whoa, what is this element? Like, we do not understand anything lower than 50 degrees, and you got us in 20 below.
Yeah, but that's football, bro.
And now
you got to adjust.
You can have the elite athletes, but you're going to get destroyed against countries that play that,
Not necessarily. I disagree with that.
With the right coaching, with the right coach. What I'm saying is that it's going to take time to get the sport, correctly taught to these athletes. You can have an elite athlete. Let me tell you, I played on the team when I played for the Skyhawks. My coach Bear saw this, one of the players. He became our kicker, fast as I don't know what. And he asked him, listen, hey, you want to come play for us? You can kick that ball well. He became our kicker and also our punter. And the coach realized that he had a speed that was just out of this world. He became our punt returner. He didn't understand the game. His first catch, he turned around and ran into our goal.
2 point safety.
But once he taught, listen, when you catch the ball, you run that way. Don't run behind you. You keep your back, and run the other direction. But it took him time to understand what his role was.
Right.
By the time we ended the season, listen, this kid understood what his job was and understood what other people's roles were. When he ran up as a punt returner, how to go to the sidelines, how to utilize his blockers, how to use the holes, how to protect the ball. So you have to now take that whole aspect of the game and teach it to people who may see it from the YouTube. And they're only watching what they see in you. But the fundamentals from the coaching, understand that, and how to translate to the coaches. Or take a coach from here and how to have a translator that can teach the same tools to those kids that don't speak English. Because let's be honest, it's an English game. It may be played in Canada, but most of those players are people who don't make it here in the States. Most of those players. So you probably don't have them translating in French too much up there. You don't have that. So you now have to go and make it make sense, because everything that we say here doesn't make sense in other language when you try to translate it. So it's great to get on the path, but it's like, how do you begin? Like you said, you get the coaches, you get the people who are willing to go live in this country for a little bit of time. It has to be it won't be at the level of the premier players. They probably have a league that starts at a certain level. Like, here we have the double A baseball, triple A baseball,
D-League.
Yeah, the D leagues, because they're not going to be able to compete. These other athletes are going to destroy them, but you can have athletes who played in the game, who can take what they've learned from the elite level and be able to coach them and teach them the game. At some point, you put a timeline and you say, listen, 5 years from now, we may be able to have a couple of these countries participating in this sport. Like, think about NBA. When NBA finally became where we could use professional players to play in the Olympics and play on the Olympic team, and not utilize just our college players, our college elite, because our college elite were participating against professional players in other countries. What happened? The players that played here that were in the NBA, they went to play for their countries. And now you're looking at these teams beating the United States, which was unheard of.
Yep.
Beating. But, making us...
We used to be the gold standard in basketball.
And we thought that we would just walk through them. And this happened at a very quick pace.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay?
Same thing with football would happen.
And that's what I'm saying.
Telling you.
You will have to know that, listen, I'm quite sure there's countries who would love to do it. It's just being able to create the platform, create the methodology of how you will go out and do it, create the people who will be willing to go coach, teach it, find the athletes.
But hold that thought 1 second, D.
Yeah.
Hold that thought 1 second, because did you know that Coach Paul knows New York City football, and that's what we do.
Right.
All right?
Okay.
On the internet, on my website, I will be teaching the game of football. So whether you're in America, in Canada, in Austria, in Harlem, in the hood, no matter where you're at, you'll be able to put together a football team, learn the game of football strategies, everything about it, and compete.
Right.
Because that's what we are. We're ambassadors for the game of football with a purpose.
Right.
The purpose is entertainment and to make sure that our kids get exposure, get scholarships to whether it's prep schools or colleges, and also to, once again, like I said, the main purpose, let's make football an Olympic sport, put America back at the top of the world where it belongs. in life, and let's start with Mr. Steel Cutter. If you felt like you've contributed somewhere to God's green earth in some shape, form, or capacity, and you feel like you have a superpower, what is your superpower, Steel Cutter Davon?
Helping people reach their own goals. Sometimes I do it to my own detriment, but I feel fulfillment in helping others. My only issue now is pushing people who don't want to be pushed and don't want to go anywhere, and realizing that I can take that energy for those who actually need it, because that's what I love to do. I invest in people. I support people's brands. I do all these things because it makes me feel good, and I love to help people. I don't do it for people to support me. I don't do it for any other flashback. I do it because I genuinely love it. I genuinely feel good about it, and it also makes me want to come to the shop to cut hair. This is why sometimes I never go up on prices. I still cut old prices because I love the joy of just dealing with people and giving people something, some kind of deal or something going on so that they can feel better about their day.
You know what I think, Davon?
What's that?
I think you learned one of the secrets to life, bro. I think you learned that helping somebody that can't help you is the biggest high there ever is in life. And that's a check and a treasure chest that's just sitting waiting for you in heaven, bro.
Right. I love it.
You learned a very
I love it
important
because,
lesson.
like,
God bless you for that.
you see my business here, Steel Cutters. I made sure when I started this small platform that I told all of the friends who really was about something in their life or wanted to do something in their life to use my platform while I had it. This is why I put Nellie Nooks over here. And Nellie Nooks, she cooks. We do fish fries. We do all different kind of things, but I have no input in that. That's her own station back there. Has nothing to do with me. I don't want no percentage. This is just for her to get her business off the ground and keep doing what she need to do and pay it forward to somebody else. That's it.
It's a beautiful thing.
Just pay it forward.
Now we know what your superpower is, and that includes love and blessings for his fellow man. That's a
Right.
wonderful thing. Coach Paul knows New York City football, is very interested to find out what the co-host of our podcast feels his superpower actually is.
My superpower, oh man. Well, you know what? My superpower, I believe, is loyalty. And when I say that, it comes with a different look at it. Because loyalty in this game, man, is something that has just died. You know, it just doesn't exist anymore. People are so quick to jump on the bandwagon of what's in front of them, but they don't stay loyal to it.
Bro, you're about to open up a can of worms.
Yeah, listen, and it's just what it is. Loyalty. Anybody who knows me knows, no matter what, I'm loyal to you. I don't play over here about you. I don't play and chit chat over here about you. I'm loyal to you.
D, how long have I known you?
Listen, we take this back to.
Tell me, how long have I known you?
The early 90s.
Early 90s, right?
Early 90s.
I've known you that long, and if you look up loyalty in the dictionary, your face pops up, bro.
Yeah.
Your face pops up.
Yeah.
That's one thing I can attest to you and for you. You're one loyal dude. You're one stand-up guy, and you go all out. I give you your props for that, and nobody could ever take that from you, bro.
Listen, and anybody who feels that they want to talk about that, who knows me, listen, my number has never changed in 20 years. That's how loyal I am to it. My phone number has been the same phone number. My cell number is still the same. So if you had my number 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you still have it. Just go on your phone, look it up. It's the same number. If you have a business card, it's the same number. So if you feel away and you want to talk,
same number, same hood.
Number.
It's all good.
Listen, I'm real Brooklyn all day. No matter where I live, no matter where I stomp, I'm real Brooklyn all day
It's the
long.
Brooklyn way.
I stomp that way. I walk that way. I breathe that way. And I know people hear that all the time. What is that? You have to be from there to understand it.
Right.
It's just different.
It's not a borough, bro. It's a blood type.
It's just a difference.
Brooklyn's not a borough. It's a blood type.
Love New York, but Brooklyn moves a different way. And understanding that loyalty. So that loyalty, what comes with it is the creative, ability that I have to anybody I'm working with on that project. Work with a lot of musical artists, travel with a lot of artists. Been a lot of different parts of their team, from being a background dancer to being a hype man to security to managing the artist to helping create, platforms for them. As far as the Instagrams, the YouTubes, Facebook. Just learning what it needs to happen for them. I will go out and find the information, find what I need to do to help them maneuver and move forward. Now, in that, have I always gotten the same, return? No. Do I feel better about it? No, because everything is a lesson. It just helped me make me better than I was when I first started. So I don't hold no bitterness. I still love you the same way I met you. And we can still always talk. Listen, it's a conversation. Anybody, like I said, if you feel, something happened and you want to discuss that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we can talk. We grown. Let's figure it out. It's a conversation we can have privately, openly, however. But I just, everyone, try loyalty first. Loyalty gets you a long way, man. Because I'm going to tell you what, if people are understanding about you, when people are talking crazy about you, the people that know you, they'll listen to what people are saying about you, but they're going to be like, nah, that's not my man. Because I could call him right now and find out what you talking about, and I'm a stand-up dude, like, whatever you saying, I will show up and we can talk. Right. It don't have to be no beef. It don't have to be, oh, I'm taking it to the streets. Nah, we can talk about it. Coach Paul knows New York City football. He'll tell you, we've been in a lot of situations, good, bad, ugly, and indifferent. And one thing, I never left my man in the cold, never left my man hungry, never left my man without money, never in a situation where I turned my back.
Tell them how we met.
We met through another brother of mine, Steve X. And listen, and here's a brother that is thinking about getting into politics, and let me tell you how we met. He and I met. He was my teacher. Now, he never taught me, but he was my teacher in high school. And he saw something in me and my interest in music. And at the time, he had connections with different people, and he let me tag along. And man, listen, he's one of the reasons why I entered to the music industry. And
he was rolling with, was it Drew Hill at the time?
Drew Hill. We did security for Drew Hill.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
He was rolling with Drew Hill at the time.
Yep. And you had your cousin Olivia at the time. He was doing her project, and used to roll over to the studio. And when she first started out there in Brooklyn, of course. And listen, you never forgot about me. When the deal came at J Records, I gave you a call, and he was like, "Listen, show up." It was not a whole long conversation. It was like, "What do you want to do?" And at the time, the role was I was a hype man, and I then took it from that. Like I said, I ended up being her manager, for a period of time, road manager. So, it just shows how you can grow. Just how you come in the door is not always the way you're gonna leave, or the way you're gonna while you in that room is the same position you're gonna play.
That's right.
You just gotta listen. Yeah, I heard it. I'm quite sure he didn't say this, but I heard Will Smith say it. Never have to. Don't be. Never have to worry about getting yourself prepared. Just always be ready. I think that's how it is. I was trying to put it together, something like that.
Right.
And just today, something that happened. I had a backup. I never have to, shuffle through paperwork or go. Oh, I'm always ready. Just be ready. Ready to move, because you just never know where it's going to take you. It may not be right then. Like 20 years later, we started out in the music industry doing security. And we have stories, and it's going to happen. We're going to have time in the show where we're going to talk about that. But we've gone for that to now having our own platform. And we never know. I was always comfortable behind the camera, always comfortable. If people want to look and say, where can I see you at? Go through any footage of Olivia in the background, from J Records to 50 Cent. You'll see me in the background, to even Love and Hip Hop. First 3 seasons I was there in the background, and that's the role I played. That's where I was comfortable, in the background, because that's honestly, for an artist, they'll tell you, every artist will tell you, where's your loyal people? In the background. They're not trying to fight you for camera time. They're playing their roles. And I'm going to tell everybody who's an athlete, who's an artist, if you don't have the people who are willing to play their role and play it comfortably and are fighting you to be the star, fighting you to be in front of you, that's a problem. That's a red flag. Find those people who are their job is their job, and if they're not good at it, they learn a way to become good at it. They be efficient, because listen, if they're your hairstylist today, they become a celebrity hairstylist.
That's
just
right.
off of being loyal to you. I've seen it happen.
Yeah, yes, we have.
Listen,
We've seen
one of Gayle
hairstylists
one of Gayle King's hairstylists
going to having their own shows,
was
bro.
Olivia's hairstylist.
That's
who's
right.
Now, I don't know if she's still there, but she's Gayle King's. And you know, just from domestic America, you know who Gayle King is. She is Oprah Winfrey's bestie. Gayle King is also on the news in the morning. You know that's a brand name. So, work with the best of them. So she didn't get into it thinking that's what's going to happen. But hey, how you step in the door is not always how you're going to leave the door. It's not always how you're going to stay.
Amen.
Loyalty. Find that loyalty, man. And you know what? These industries will be a lot better if you have more loyal people in it. Trust me, because there's a lot of snakes, man. We know who you are.
Dog eat dog,
and
bro.
We don't play with you. We don't entertain you. We know what it is. So don't think that you're in the room and you hiding. We smell you. Brooklyn smells it all the time.
You already know.
Yeah, so that's my superpower, man. Always trying to move the ball, man.
You heard it here first. Coach Paul knows New York City football. There is no substitute for loyalty. Welcome one, welcome all to Coach Paul Knows New York City Football. That's right. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you support Coach Paul Knows NYC Football, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, on the website, www.CoachPaulKnowsNYCFootball. We will bring you everything in New York City football imaginable. We'll bring you all the concrete jungle stories, all the players, the referees issues, the high school issues, the college, the pro, everything. It's all right here. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for this, my unconquerable soul. In the felt clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horrors of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charred with punishment the scroll, for I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Invictus. Coach Paul knows New York City football. This is what I do. This is what it's all about here in the concrete jungle. How we live, the school of hard knocks. New York City football, everything that goes with it. This is what Coach Paul Knows New York City Football is all about. Bringing it to you live about everything that happens in the concrete jungle and all its players. Like Coach Paul, like Davon Green from Steel Cutters, like Dwayne Elsie, who's hosting the podcast, and he's going to bring you the mostest. He's the hostess with the mostest. That's what's coming up here at Coach Paul Knows New York City Football. We got it hot and popping. Just wait and see. You can't beat it. We got it. Come and check it out live. Come with me.